the pain of going through a breakup, it's usually really scary, but the reality is that that is going to be easier than the pain of staying in a relationship for way too long. So in this video, I wanted to talk about when is it time to break up, and I have a few things that I would determine, hey, if this is happening, maybe you have to give some thought at the fact that it's time to let go. So the number one thing that I would say that it's probably time for you to break up is drama. And this is what happens when you start allowing drama in your relationship. And this usually happens a lot with very attractive women. They're used to like a lot of attention from a lot of people. I also feel like, people say this jokingly, but I actually think that it's true, that prettier girls are a little bit crazy. And I think it has to do with the way that they have received different attentions and a different treatment their entire life. So they want things to be a certain way. They're just used to getting their way with everything or being able to do whatever they want because everyone has treated them nicely their entire life. So I think when you don't go along with just saying yes to everything, that could create problems. They might be more jealous. They might create more issues with you having other friends because the fact that they're pretty actually makes them more self-conscious about their image. So they're also thinking about other women. And because they get so much attention, they think that other women are also getting the same attention and they don't want you to put that in. And there's a lot of things that can go into the fact that someone is creating a lot of drama in your relationship. But if you are constantly being hit with that, I think you have to let it go. Even if you love the person, at some point you have to sit down and say, is it worth the hassle? Now, if you're constantly getting into those huge arguments, then you spend days or weeks without talking, and then you come back and it's like an explosion of like fiery and sex and everything is great. If you keep doing that over and over and over again and allowing to do that, you're actually going to get somewhat addicted to that. And I've experienced this in my life where I've been with people who they would create all of this struggle and then I was trying to overcome it. And then when we got back together, it was like amazing. It was explosive. But then a few weeks or months will go by and then we will have the same issues and we would blow up. And like, there is something that is very attractive about that because you're like almost trying to conquer every time that there is a problem. And if the drama is also like loaded up with years in other relationships where that person was experiencing something bad and now you want to be the guy that is different and you want to almost like save her, you just want to prove that you're better than those other guys that she was with, that can be really dangerous because then you start spiraling down and you don't know how to differentiate when she's being disrespectful or if she actually has a trauma or if she's just not behaving correctly. And you are not able to gauge when you are allowing disrespect or you have also issues and trauma, or you're just not realizing that she's disrespecting you and you have to do something about it. So for me, I think you will get to a point that if you're feeling that all of this turmoil is getting you distracted from work and it's actually hurting your performance in the things that you're trying to build in your life, dude, it's time to let that go. And you have to hold your ground and understand, okay, you communicate to the person, if you keep doing this, I will not continue to allow it and we will be done. And you have to just learn to walk away. If that drama keeps happening repeatedly, where you have to get to the point that you say that, the next time that happens, she's going to test you. For sure, she's going to test and see if you're actually like all that serious. And then you have to be able to hold your ground and say, no, enough is enough. And then break it off, walk away. Now, don't be stupid and walk away. And then when she calls you, you come back. Like that is going to absolutely destroy any ounce of respect that she might have for you. And even though it might seem that that's working out, it's just a recipe for disaster. A few weeks or a month later, the same thing is going to happen. Now, another point that I think is a huge red flag and that you need to be clear about this from the beginning when you start dating and when this doesn't align anymore, you have to be able to cut ties, is your financial goals. And more than goals, it's like, where are you financially? What's your financial status? What is she looking for? And what are you looking for? A lot of the times, we as guys, we're going to try to impress women. We're going to make them think that we make more money than we actually make. And we're going to try to conquer them by showering them with gifts or inviting them to expensive dinners or trips or buying them flowers and like doing everything that you can do to prove to her that you're wealthy, that you're rich, that you got money, that like you're interested. And of course, it's a competition. The thing that happens is that all the guys are doing the same. And if you are not smart enough, you're going to try to convince her that you have more money than you actually have. And the reason that is going to be a huge problem later is that you're not going to be able to sustain that. She's going to realize at some point that you're overspending and that you cannot actually afford that. The other thing that could be a problem here is, can you actually take care of her and the things that she needs? And every woman is different. There are some women that have their job, they're independent, they don't want to be taken care of in the same way. They all have an innate desire for the man to come in and take care of them and provide. But there are levels to that. There are some women that maybe they have their families and they have some sort of like financial stability because of something before they met you, or they have their careers, or like they have their own business. Like, it ranges. But the reality is, if you cannot be a provider, if you cannot be making more money than she is, if she cannot look up to you and say, okay, he financially is stronger than me. It's very similar to physically. If she is stronger than you, sexier than you, healthier than you, she's not going to look up to you. And when it comes to money, that is going to create a lot of problems. Now, I have made this mistake myself where I'm trying to be something that I'm not. And then it's just a recipe for disaster. You're better off playing in your lane and knowing, okay, I cannot afford to have that girlfriend because I just can't. I need to use this time to make more money and find a way that I can afford all the things that that girl wants. If you realize that she wants all of these things and you cannot give it to her, don't even like bother. It's gonna end up in disaster. It's gonna end up being a problem. So you're better off focusing in making money if you don't have the money. And this doesn't mean that all women are gold diggers or they're looking for money or anything like that. Every woman is going to want a lifestyle that she wants, and she's allowed to want whatever she wants. You as a guy, you have your standards of what type of women you want. She needs to look like this, have this level of fitness, I like her hair like this, or I like this. If you are able to decide how do you want your woman to look, she's able to also decide how much money she wants her man to make. And then you just need to find a match. The problem comes when you don't align and you're just not compatible. So that long term is going to keep creating problems. And if it's creating problems for you right now, I think it's better if you sit down and you talk to her about it and just be honest and be clear. And if she needs something that you cannot provide for her, it's time to break up. Now, the next point that I want to touch on is sex. Sex is probably, I would say, almost the most important thing when you are in a relationship. You are attracted to her, you want to have sex with her. If she's not attracted to you, that's going to be a problem. If she's attracted to other people, that's going to be a problem. If you're attracted to other people, that is going to be a problem. So I think that a lot of people are going to try to downplay the significance of sex in a relationship. And to me, that is just bullshit. There's nothing worse than being with a woman that you don't want to have sex with for an extended period of time. That is just something you should not get yourself into. And if you're trying and trying and trying to make the relationship work, but you're not attracted to her, there are a few things that you can do. First of all, you have to communicate that to her. And you have to find a way to do that, because women are going to get really emotional and personal when you bring those things up. So you have to find ways to communicate that properly. Also, you have to sit down and think about, what are you really into? Like, what's your type? What do you like? And if you got into a relationship with someone that it's just not your type, the sooner you break that off, the better. Even if it's gonna hurt her or damage your reputation, like whatever it is, you just don't want to keep spending time in a relationship when you know that you're not attracted to her physically. Now, there are things that you can do if she's not attracted to you. And I think that probably happens a lot. And guys, we don't want to talk about it, but sometimes maybe your relationship is not going as well because you're not doing it right. Like, she's not satisfied with you. Is she getting orgasms when she's with you? Is she into you? Is she really wanting to please you? And if that is not happening and you are attracted to her, but she's not attracted to you, and you don't get enough sex and you're not satisfied with how your sex life is going, you could work on that. And we have some other videos on the channel where we talk about that, but that's your responsibility. Now, if she's doing everything right and you're just not into her, you have to break that off. Like, to me, it's just unfair. And the longer you stay trying to protect her and not hurting her feelings, you're just getting yourself into more trouble, because you might end up cheating, you might end up resenting her, and she might end up resenting you. So if sex is not working and you have tried, you just have to break it off. Now, the last point that I think is a huge red flag and that you need to look after is, what does your future looks like? If you don't talk about this from the beginning, you might get into a situation where everything goes well, you're attracted to her, you guys line up and everything that you want, and you have great chemistry. But for example, she is not into having a family and you are. Or she wants to have 2 or 3 kids and you don't want to have any kids. Or you want to live in Minnesota with your family and she wants to live in Miami. Dude, if that future doesn't align, and you have to just be honest about this and be honest about what you really want, and try to find out what does she really wants. Because you can mask it all you want, but at some point, some of those problems are going to be unfixable. And I've experienced this. To me, the moment I realized that this woman, her future doesn't line up with my future, that's it. Like, I had an experience when I learned that and I realized that and I was able to see it. And then I had to be honest with myself and just know, okay, her future doesn't align with my future. And I'm not going to change who I am at the core just to pretend that I want to make her happy enough to forget who I am. If I know what I want and she's not the type of woman that lines up with that vision, then I can keep going. And I think this happens to a lot of guys where maybe they got a really hot chick and they're like so into her, and now they're making up excuses as to why they want to keep her around, even though they know that that's not the right woman for them. And the thing is that if you don't have the right woman by your side, your whole life is going to be chaotic. You're going to be arguing all the time. You're going to be in a bad mood. You're not going to know whether you can do this or that. You're going to be spending money on someone that is not going to be there next year. Maybe she's not going to even be there 6 months from now. So what the fuck are you doing spending time and energy with someone that you know for sure that does not align with your future? If she's not rocking with you, your family, and the things that you want to do in the future, you have to be so careful not to overinvest in that person, because the problems will come. And in my experience, I come from a divorce. I have 2 kids. I had to be really honest and say, every woman that I dated after my divorce, I told her, like, these are my kids. They're a priority. I'm a film director. My career is a huge priority. And I have my business with my brother, and we're always going to have the company together, and that's a priority. So those things are my base of how I'm building my future. You need to sit down and analyze the things that you have for your future. And if she doesn't align with those things, dude, you have to let her go. And you have to be the one to make the decision. You cannot be weak and just play until things are so bad that you get into a huge fight and then, oh, this and that, because you're going to end up hurting her, hurting yourself. And that's just like a weak move to make. If you know for sure that she's not the one for you and there's not a future where the two of you are going to be compatible, just sit down and tell her. And trust me, she's going to respect you more for doing that than if you drag her around and you're actually not looking to commit in a long-term relationship. Because women have no time to waste. For them, they need to lock someone in and get into a solid long-term relationship, because they can't be just dating and fucking around with a bunch of guys. That's not good for them. For you, it's also about your resources and the time that you're investing. You don't want to keep doing like over and over and over and over the same thing with different women. Like, if you are not interested in building a future with that one, just don't get into a relationship with her. Be clear, have fun, do whatever you have to do, but just don't waste your time and energy with people that are not lining up with the future that you want to build.